Well, lest you think it's my legislation, we had hoped, all things being the usual, that everyone who's part of this team, and you're all there under the shade, would be standing back here so that you could get a visual of how powerful this coalition is. And those of you who will be speaking, well, I'll try to keep our remarks short, realize that this is a very much of a joint effort. And we'll spare the heat for those who would have to be standing here. But if you see the list here, that's why I want to be brief, because we have a lot of people to underscore and thank for this very powerful coming together. And what better place to have the bird's eye view of the wilderness than at the Botanic Garden. With all that it represents, you see the school kids coming by, you realize one generation to the next, this rich heritage of setting aside and treasuring that which we have. And this legislation has been a long time in the making. We know, I don't have to tell you, you have told me in no uncertain terms, this Central Coast is home to some of the most beautiful and diverse habitats and ecosystems in North America. I would dare say the world. And we can see that everywhere from the Channel Islands and the Gaviota Coast to Los Padres Forest and the Carrizo Plain, all of it echoes a part of that rich heritage. We're fortunate to have these national treasures, both offshore and onshore, right here in our midst. They contribute to our community incredible beauty and biodiversity, educational and economic opportunities. They provide clean drinking and irrigation water, and accessible and affordable recreation. What more could you ask, really, from nature? These places not only improve our quality of life, but are also powerful economic drivers, and we have some people here who will attest to that. The hiking, biking, fishing, and riding opportunities drive many of our local businesses and create local jobs. These opportunities are important recruiting tools. I'll just mention a few names who are here. Horny Toad, or representation, is here. Deckers, Patagonia, and on and on. Of course, these lands have economic value, but not only that, they also have tremendous ecological and cultural value as well. And we just have to protect these areas for future generations. And for these reasons and many more that you have all taught me, I'm happy to be introducing the Central Coast Heritage Protection Act. Amongst its many provisions, just a brief summary, the legislation designates 4 new wilderness areas and expands 9 existing wilderness areas in Los Padres Forest and the Carrizo Plain. It establishes and expands several wild and scenic rivers. It protects Condor Ridge and Black Mountain as new scenic areas. And it designates, this is such a wonderful thing, the Condor Trail as a national recreation trail within the Los Padres Forest. This bill will safeguard these unique lands to ensure that current and future generations can fully enjoy all that they have to offer. It also strikes a balance between protecting these wild spaces while ensuring responsible access for recreation. It's a balance. And that's why we have such a strong and very diverse coalition of support for this bill. And I'm so pleased that my colleague Julia Brownlee from Ventura County, and she has a representative here today whom I will introduce, and Sam Farr up north in Monterey County have already signed on as original co-sponsors. We also have local landowners, businesses, elected officials, farmers, ranchers, civic leaders, wineries, recreationalists, outfitters, and others, all supporting this bill. For me, building this strong base of community support was a top priority from the very beginning, because no one knows these lands better or wants to protect them more than those who use them the most. And that's why we have spent over a year meeting with stakeholders, crafting the language, building the support for the bill. While there's broad support for conservation in our community, getting everyone to agree on the details of a wilderness bill is not a simple procedure. Thanks to the hard work of many of you gathered here today, we finally made it to this exciting day. We don't have time to name all the groups and individuals, but I do want to take a moment to thank a few key people who really were instrumental in getting us to this point. Laura Williams and Ryan Hansen from the California Wilderness Coalition. What a fabulous group that was to spearhead. Now, Steve Evans from Friends of the River. And we want to thank Steve and his group. Matthew Sales from Los Padres Forest Watch. I think we have several from Forest Watch here. And I just want to give a shout out to Rachel Condor on my own staff. Very much has reached out to many of you in putting this team together to drive this process from start to finish. We wouldn't have come to this point if it were not for your effort. So believe me, team building and team playing is what this is all about. Now we enter the next important phase of the project, getting the Central Coast Heritage Protection Act through Congress. So with your enthusiastic support, I'm going to introduce the bill when I return to Washington next week. And then I'll get to work on the next steps, building bipartisan support for the bill and moving it through the legislative process. Yeah. This is not always easy. Partisanship is strong now in the U.S. House of Representatives. But I believe this belongs to all of California, not just those who happen to have my side of the aisle as their representative. I'm going to approach it from that point of view. And those of you who represent organizations that are all throughout the state, you are the key ones to get that power of persuasion for getting, I know it's a really high goal to see how many of California's delegation we can get signed on to the bill, but that's what my goal is, and I know that you all share my interest in doing that. Not because it's an important issue, but because we'll be doing it together. I think it's really significant that this wilderness bill is about pulling everyone together, because that's the power of wilderness in our heritage and in our culture. And really, grassroots, I guess all of these words have double meanings, don't they? Grassroots is the effort to get this done, and I'm confident that we're going to be able to do it. And I appreciate so much all of your support. And now to let you know that our neighbor in Ventura County, Julia Brownlee, is represented here today by Sandra Delgado, and I want her to come and say a word or two to us as also. Sandra, thank you.